Now let's look through the last 4 questions of this section and this chapter, in fact. It is not a core activity, but I would like you to take a look at them so that you can see how the percent thermometer can be used for all manner of different kinds of problems. So in the first question, there are 30 blue marbles in a bag, which is 40% of the marbles in the bag. How many marbles are in the bag? Solve the problem in 3 ways. So you can go ahead and solve the problem using the other 2 ways, but I'd like to continue focusing on the percent thermometer. Let me just erase these. So percent and number of marbles. So there are 30 blue marbles in a bag, which is 40% of the bag. So 40% of the bag are my 30 blue marbles. How many marbles are in the bag? So we want to know of what? How many marbles are in the bag? So if we know the 40% is 30 marbles, we can find 10%. I've been using green, so let me switch to green. And that's a fourth of 30. All right, so it's 15. That's 7.5. So if we need to know the 100, we could figure that out. There'd be 75 marbles in total. There are other ways that you can figure this out. You can go down to 20 at 15 and then multiply by 5 as well. But there are 75 marbles. All right, let's try number 2. Now, Andrew ran 40% as far as Marcy. How far did Marcy run as a percentage of Andrew's? This is a really different kind of problem from anything we've done, because we have a percent compared to Marcy and a percent of our Andrews. So both sides are actually percentages. But one of them is a percent of Marcy's, where she would have run 100%, and one is the percent of Andrew's, where he would have run 100%. So Andrew ran 40% as far as Marcy. So Marcy will be at the top, and Andrew ran, this is her 100%, and Andrew ran 40% as far as Marcy. Now that's his 100%. So Andrew's 100% is only 40% of Marcy. And what we want to know is how far did Marcy run in terms of Andrew? Well, let's see. Let's go back to green. We can figure out 10%. Right, divide by 4, that's 25. And then if 10% of Marcy is 25% of Andrew, then 100% of Marcy is 250% of Andrew. So Marcy ran 250% of Andrew distance. Right, and it's over 100, which makes perfect sense because our Andrew's 100% is much less than Marcy's. All right. Now, number 3 is also a really interesting problem. In a terrarium, there are 10% more female bugs than male bugs. If there are 8 more female bugs than male bugs, how many bugs are in the terrarium? Okay, how many of you have your skin crawling already with this? Just thinking of the bugs. Okay. So percent and number of bugs. So in the terrarium, there are 10% more female bugs than male bugs. So these are male bugs and these are female bugs, right? And the difference is 10%. And we're told that the difference is 8 bugs. So I wonder if we can figure out a way to see what, to have any other kind of equivalence. So first of all, where is the 100 here? There are 10% more female bugs than male bugs. We're comparing to male bugs. So this is going to be 100. So the female bugs is going to be 110. And if 10% of male bugs is 8, then what would 100% of male bugs be? It would be 80. And 88 for the female bugs. Now, what does the question ask? How many bugs are in the terrarium? How many bugs are in the terrarium? If there are female bugs, 88. Male bugs, 80. Total bugs is 168. Okay. And finally, the last question. The animal shelter has only cats and dogs. There are 25% more dogs than cats. What percentage of the animals at the animal shelter are cats? Now let's look at the wholes here, what we're comparing to. We only have dogs and cats. 25% more dogs than cats. All right, so let's draw that. We have dogs, cats. We're comparing to cats. They're 125% of the dogs. Dogs are 100% here. Okay. And we want to know, is that what we want to know? Let's see. What if we, because we're in the actual question, it doesn't tell us what this variable is. So it's really up to us how we can represent it. If there are 25% more cats than dogs, then we could say that maybe this is the number of animals that we have. And let's say we have 100 cats and 125 dogs. So what percentage of the animals at the animal shelter, so of the whole animals, of all the animals, are cats? So there are 100 cats. And what is the total number of animals in the shelter if there were 100 cats and 125 dogs? 225. And whatever that percentage is going to be our percent of cats in the animal shelter. So 100 divided by 225 is 44.4 repeated percent. Okay. And that is the end of chapter 2. Make sure that you've read through the textbook and you've looked at the summaries for the sections of chapter 2. Make sure that you've done the practice exercises and the problems at the end, especially the core problems. Some of them are labeled with the apple, and those are the ones that you need to be focusing on. And I'll see you in chapter 3.